Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome all of you back to another Chris Chan Quickie article. Now, the reason why I'm sort of like getting this one out in this manner is because I originally was supposed to have a 12-hour video to go out, but unfortunately YouTube doesn't seem to like it, and apparently there's something about I needed to verify my own account and stuff like that. So yeah, I wish there was any other way of saying it, but unfortunately it just sort of didn't work out. I'm very sorry about that. With that being said, however, there is something else I wanted to address, and the fact is that, well, for 6 years I've basically been reacting to music, and it's something I've got to know very, very well. In fact, it's greatly broadened my horizons, and I'm very, very proud and willing to get to know a bunch of new people and a bunch of great music over the years. And, well, we're going to find out what Chris's correlation is, so let's go. Chris and music. Chris is a big fan of music. He listens to tracks from many genres and decades, though mostly pop and rock through the 1980s through the 2010s. At first glance, his eclectic taste in music is not too unconventional. It's the way he's presented his tastes over the years that are pretty unconventional, to say the least. Most people understand that a Guitar Hero controller is not a real instrument, but Chris isn't most people. You're not wrong there. Chris is also infamous for overestimating his singing ability and music recording methods. Despite having trouble remembering the lyrics, melodies, the pitch, and even the instruments used in his favourite songs, nevertheless, Chris has dabbled in music production. With over 60 covers, parodies, and original songs, he loves music so much he is turned on by the very concept of it. That doesn't surprise me, because I heard there were even toys. You know what, I'm not even going to go there. So, let's begin, and what a surprise! I've got to censor this out because this is Chris with his bandmates sitting in what looks like a pool of lava. Chris has often remarked that he likes all popular music. While it's possible that he's just given that answer to appear cool and easygoing, he really does seem to try to listen to whatever popular opinion tells him is good. Almost every song of either of his 3 horrible albums was a top 40 hit in America or another country, or otherwise either a deep cut on a successful album, a B-side on a successful single, or EPs. All songs featured on the soundtracks to either hit movies such as Pokemon the First Movie, or video games such as Guitar Hero and Rock Band. It is worth noting, however, that parts of Chris's taste in music are fairly standard, as his favoured genres of rock and pop are mainstream. Chris's interest in multiple genres spanning decades is shared by most people who like music. It's also common for people to develop an interest in songs from media including video games, movies, television, as well as what their parents listen to. Bob's expansive collection of thousands of records from around the world could have influenced Chris in some way, even if it was simply inspiring a love for music in Chris. Chris has stated his favourite radio station is Z95.1 WQMZ from Charlottesville, which plays nothing but inoffensive pop songs specifically from the 1980s to today, that you're likely to hear in the dentist's office. The station bills its offerings as today's hits and yesterday's favourites, music for women. That's a pretty... What sort of tagline is that? Music, to have music for women in that? That's a very... I don't even know what to think about that. Like, Chris listens to the John Tesh radio show on his station and once won a set of tickets to a sporting event through a call-in contest. He has left his radio on before during his videos, as well as on a few of his mumble chats for the whole conversation. Boy, that must have gone annoying really quickly. This meant that he both enjoyed the background music and was totally inconsiderate to the other people in the chat. The other only specific artist that Chris seems to truly idolize is Britney Spears. There is virtually no doubt that this is more because of her beauty than her music, or for memories of happier times. On his date with Emily, he claimed to like Louis Armstrong in an effort to look like a sophisticated jazz listener. If his past downloads of Rhapsody, seen below, is any indication, almost everything Chris listens to has been in a Guitar Hero, Rock Band, or Sonic game. This adds yet more weight to the theory that Chris is spoon-fed pop culture from video games and Family Guy. Also keeping with the theme of liking things that most kids are unaware of or would not enjoy, Chris has twice referenced Billy Joel's upbeat 1985 You're Only Human, Second Wind, a dated but memorable reggae pop song written specifically to stop teenagers from that word. To date, Chris has referenced the song in a YouTube video where he says that relieving yourself from stress isn't a big deal. And again, when asked by a fan whether he ever had thoughts of that certain word, Chris replied with utterly no elaboration at all that he had a lot to live for, and told said fan to go listen to the song. I mean, it's good for Chris to... I think it's very good for people to openly say that they have a lot to live for. That's optimistic. When did this take place, by the way? What was there a reference to this? I don't know, but I suppose was yeah. Chris has also expressed a fondness for the Insane Clown Posse, releasing 2 videos in which he paints his face and talks about being a juggalo. Since fans of ICP tend to be stereotyped as idiotic, out of shape, white trash jerkasses who believe themselves to be outcasts of society, it is easy to understand why becoming a juggalo would appear to Chris. Meanwhile, and by the way, disclaimer, ladies and gentlemen, there's a rant incoming, so if you're not interested, then, well, you've been warned. I like men as I like heavy metal music. I do not like heavy metal music. Hardly a real beat or tune, and the lyrics are incoherent. Chris's incoherent words about the incoherency of heavy metal. In a Patreon post made on the 4th of August 2017, Chris reveals that he has a distaste for heavy metal music. To him, all hard rock music has little or no beats or music, and he finds the lyrics hard to follow. Okay, time out. Okay, so let's, because here's the thing. Remember what I said at the beginning that I've basically been listening to music on YouTube for 6 years? And it was basically how I got introduced to heavy metal. It was how I got introduced to Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Overkill, Nightwish, Rhapsody of Fire, Epica, Sonic to Arctica, Dream Theater, Rush, Dio, Green Day, All American Rejects, Papa Roach, My Chemical Romance, Blink 182. There's bound to be like thousands more I'm not even listing, and that's even going into like subgenres of heavy metal I don't even like oh god, well, there are some subgenres out there that I do, but then again, what about all the British ones, like, you know, Venom, or other things like Mayhem, Iron Maiden, oh god, Diamond Head, Black Sabbath, Creed, Creek, God Almighty, there's Bullet for my Valentine, Man, Budgie, ZZ Top, you know, 30 Seconds to Mars. Basically, what I'm trying to suggest, ladies and gentlemen, and this again, you probably know immediately about this so far, but for Chris to just, what about even Rush? Rush is not even considered hard rock; it's considered prog rock, or Pink Floyd for that matter. But what I'm basically what I'm trying to get across is the idea is that, does Chris not like heavy metal because he doesn't bother to listen to it, or does he just not like it because he has set himself in motion without even trying it? Which of course begs the question: how can you dislike something if you haven't even tried it? I mean, has Chris even listened to it? Like, I know Chris has maybe. I mean, Chris has listened to Dokkan before, and he's played the game Brutal Legend, for God's sake. I mean, okay, you know what? I've got an idea. Okay, I know we're like really getting off track with this, and but I'm gonna do this to like make a very, very profound point. Is that you know the video game Brutal Legend? Well, I'm going to just showcase to you guys, this is the entire song list of every single song that is in this game, and just the amount of the amount of guys that have been involved in this. So let's just go through the list, just from artists alone, and from like symphonic black metal to new wave of British heavy. So again, look, Bishop of Hexen, Rotting Christ, Diamond Head, Angel of Witch, Angel of Bodom, the Michael Schneckler Group, Motorhead, Sanctuary, Judas Priest, Marilyn Manson, Ozzy Osbourne, Lita Ford, T. Van Guest, Scorpions, Death Star, Girl School, Budgie, Dark Tranquillity, Black Sabbath, Mastodon, King Diamond, Brockus Helm, Manowar, 3 Inches of Blood, Motley Crue, Brockus Helm, Harry Cantwell from Slow Feg, Accept, Testament, KMFDM, Enslaved, Cabbage Boy, Kiss, In Flames, Savatage, Cradle of Filth, Megadeth, Wrath of Killenstein, Whitesnake, Dark Fortress, Rat, Static X, Nitro, Anvil, Tenacious D. You know the fact that what's his face, Jack Black, who's in this game, who is also in Tenacious D. Yeah, and again, Metal Church, Slayer, Anthrax, Death Clock, Riot, Cloven Hoof, Carcass, Firehouse, Dimmu Borgir, Iced Earth, Ostrograph, Crimson Glory, Running Wild, UFO, Coroner, Prog, Mirror Throne, Skeleton Witch, Ministry, Aposty, Rob Zombie, Racer X, Omen, Quiet Riot, Dragon Force, Emperor, Candlemass, Overkill, Skid Row. Those are just the bands that are in this game. It is, and you know what I don't see on here, ladies and gentlemen? Anything by Metallica. I know that's kind of insane that when you think about it, but what I want to try to, but that's not even going into the songs that are even in this. You got your Painkiller, Metal Thrashing Mad, Mr. Scary, Metal Church, and what's the one Overkill song? World of Hurt, and what's Witches by Candlemass. And by the way, as well, when he says he doesn't like heavy metal music, is he just trying to like lambast every single like genre of every single subgenre of metal in there as well? Because Chris is, I would say, blissfully ignorant of the fact that you've got things like symphonic black metal, new wave of British metal, melodic, hard rock, power metal, classic heavy metal, industrial gothic metal, classic heavy metal. What we got? Thrash, progressive, traditional, epic, hair, epic, Teutonic traditional heavy metal, Bay Area thrash metal, Viking metal. Then we also get other things like gothic and speed, shred, industrial, and again melodic, symphonic, black and deathly thrashy metal. And then you even get such really audacious things such as power metal. Have you guys, and again, if that's not even your thing, where's Candlemass is epic doom metal. Doom metal, and again, doom metal, I'm just going to state for the reference, if you've never listened to doom metal before, you guys have got to check what doom metal is. In fact, Candlemass is almost in the same league as Overkill for perhaps one of the most under-respected bands of all time that are still going since before Metallica. So we're talking late 70s, and guys like Overkill are still going. What I'm trying to emphasize from all of that is that you've got all of those bands, you got all of those subgenres, you got basically a who's who of some of the greatest metal songs ever made. Well, some of them. There are quite a lot of things that could be added to that list, and hardly a real Beatle tune, and the lyrics are incoherent. The only reason I'm listing this at all is because it does illustrate a bit of a problem that Chris has, is the fact that anything that is almost in competition against things that Chris likes or things that are a little bit different, he will just dismiss them without a thought. It's the same thing he's had since his days regarding the Xbox and Sony and Nintendo, but I don't understand. But this one is a little bit less vitriol because, well, Chris's criticisms are basically not much. Now, yes, I understand heavy metal is, or every other subgenre of metal is not to everyone's taste. But how do you know if you don't check something like that out? And by the way, guys, I'm very, very familiar with all of those bands listed. And again, I spent 6 whole years. And again, well, I'll mention again, there's no Pantera, there's no Dio, there's no... what else are we looking for? Things that probably... There's probably a lot of other things that haven't been on that list as well, but then again, I could almost do an entirely separate list of things that should have also been added, like, again, Cowboys from Hell, or Mouth for War, or Walk, stuff like that. But what can you do, eh? If you are a fan of metal, ladies and gentlemen, and you're a little bit off-put by what Chris said, I guess I'm sorry. Okay, rant over. YouTube background music. Towards the fall of 2009, Chris began to include popular songs as background music in a number of his YouTube videos. Some videos, such as She Is Mine Now, featured Aerosmith in the background, possibly in a sad attempt to appear intimidating and hardcore. For videos showing off his athletic prowess, Chris favoured Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. In light of Chris's virulent hatred of gay people, this is a somewhat ironic choice, given the extraordinary homoerotic overtones of both the training sequences in Rocky III. I wouldn't know, I've never seen Rocky III, and Survivor's own music video for the song. Well, different times and all that, and I don't know, that's a bit of an L take if you ask me. If you think there is, more power to you, but it doesn't have to be for everything. By the way, that's all, whatever, let's just move on. For videos intended to express his heartfelt love for Casey, Chris employed REO Speedwagon's power ballad, Can't Fight This Feeling. The third time he announced his leaving from the internet, he chose all of the songs Colby Calane's Falling For You as background music. Although this most likely was just him leaving the radio on in the background. He looped Katy Perry's 2010 single, California Girls, in his official makeup tutorial. Once again, that damn song is going to follow me to my grave. That song is 14 years old, and it is literally never stopped being played on the radio ever since. And I do not think it's that good at all. To be honest, ironically, they say Katy Perry single, but my favourite part about it is when Snoop Dogg gets into it. Tone 10, fit and ready. Turn it up, because it's getting heavy. In his videos made in 2014, Chris took to playing sappy 1950s orchestral music in the background. This appears to be an attempt to garner sympathy given his recent difficulties in life, or it could just be yet another acquired taste from his parents. Many videos filmed in 2016 to 2017 featured default background music from his PS4 game, The Playroom. You know, the ones that go do 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 do. The common theme is a slow looping electronic piece with beeping square wave synths and mellow synth pads. YouTube commentators have branded this tune as the Financial Crisis theme. It even made an appearance in Q&A No More, where the soft feel is juxtaposed with Chris's trademark rage. You really blew it this time! Yeah, that's basically the video. Upon Chris's return to the internet in October 2023, he began to use music in the background of his most recent videos again. This follows in an assortment of cinematographical improvements to his video making skills, mainly in Jesus Christ Chant Sonatu Prime Resurrected and Returned and the Angelica Rose Choose Christmas Play videos. Get in. Musical talent. Songwriting. Most of Chris's songwriting output has been him singing his original lyrics over copyrighted songs. He doesn't consider his songs to be parodies, okay, but rather serious compositions that happen to share tunes with popular songs. Okay, writing a good parody also requires a good grasp on lyricism, which Chris doesn't really seem to have. If anything, Chris's music is plunderphonics, a controversial genre built around sampling and altering existing records. Yeah, if you want an actual taste of what actual parody sounds like, go research Weird Al Yankovic, and trust me, you're going to get a much better time out of this. Oh, and by the way, this is no joke what Chris's songwriting ability looks like. It's literally just crossing out song. It's Take My Breath Away, but just crossing out stuff, and Chris scribbling. Why didn't Chris just, like, I don't know, type something out to this and feel our love at play, feeling our mutual feels. Okay, you know what? I'm done already. I feel stupid for reading that, and I've completely clicked off something different. One moment. Sorry guys, we're back. Chris's lyrics tend to be autobiographical. His 2003 album showed insight into Chris's loneliness and thought process. He also included several solitude anthems on the album, and he attempted Spanish music with La Coquina en la Casa de Casanova, not knowing that Casanova was Italian. The album was fairly eclectic in lyrical topics and musical feel, though most of the tunes were either pop songs taken from the late 90s or were songs used in Sonic the Hedgehog media. To be honest, I can only imagine what sort of... I wonder if Chris at all ever tried to sample Opposites Attract by Paula Abdul, because the time period seems about right, and I can only imagine just... By the way, if you've never seen the music video for Opposites Attract, it's quite famous because it's where Paula Abdul sends with a cartoon wolf, cartoon scat cat. It's very much almost like a Tom and Jerry sort of thing, and it's actually quite funny for what it is. The song's just this. If it was just the song on its own, I think the song was just kind of like there, but the music video has made it a massive staple in the 90s. Just saying. Chris's second album took songs from even more genres and included a lot of 1970s and 1980s music. However, his lyrical focus got narrower, and he wrote nearly all the songs about Ivy. His third and most recent attempt at an album follows a similar pattern to his second, taking songs from the 1980s and 90s of various genres including pop rock, country punk, and high NRG. Notably, Chris does not make any major changes to the lyrical content of these songs, only changing words that could imply he was gay. Okay, I guess. Chris's lyrics, Nah, never mind. Chris's lyrics don't... I try to think of like a clever joke about something like Take On Me, but I couldn't really do it. Chris's lyrics don't always fit the mood or context of the song. A good songwriter uses lyrics that reflect the music and paint an emotional picture. If they do not use lyrical dissonance, it's intentional or for ironic effect. Chris, however, seems to not care either way. Consider his second biggest hit, Autism. The original song, Larger Than Life, has an upbeat vibe. Chris, however, rewrote the song with self-pitying downer lyrics about being a lonely outcast with few friends, all while the exuberant backing track plays. The closest thing the song has to a positive twist is him bragging about his supposed intelligence. Chris also doesn't appear to grasp the concept of a hook. The hook is usually the part of the song that people remember the most. It's generally short, catchy, and heavy, almost like an advertising jingle for the song itself. Again, Take On Me is just... it's one of those examples where it does every single thing right, and some people may view it from the prospect of people just like ticking things off a list, but when it comes together, it is sweet. Ding, 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 ding. You know what I mean? Chris also doesn't appear to... Chris doesn't seem to understand this. The hook of Sodi the Cute Girl is I Have a Boyfriend. Those who don't pay much attention to lyrics will hear that part stand out the most. making it sound like Chris is singing about himself having a boyfriend. Chris's rhymes are elementary and sometimes forced. In All I Want for Christmas is a Pretty Girlfriend, he rhymes 18 to 22 with boyfriend free too, before plugging Match.com, because of course, in Saddest Heart in the World, he says, heartbroken, sad and very lonely, I may never remove my virginity. In addition to rhyming lonely with virginity, a bit of a stretch, he opts to say remove when loose would have worked much better and sounded less robotic. As robotic and as automated as All I Want for Christmas Is You is anyway, I'm sorry, it is, and no amount of telling me it isn't by playing the song over and over and over again is going to convince me otherwise. Chris's attempts at figurative language fall flat. In Yellow is a Mellow Colour, he pens the truism, travelling without a map is like travelling with no map. Could bang my head against a brick wall if I heard that. In Autism, he sings, I'm looking at all of you and I see a rainbow come on. It's not clear what he means by this. Rainbows are usually used as a symbol of homosexuality. Again, not always. It's also, for biblical reasons, it has a different meaning as well, but whatever. But he could be using it as a workaround metaphor for the autism spectrum. There are very few metaphors in Chris's music that aren't either nonsense or cliches. Not much of it is quite rigid and literal. Feel Our Love at Play is a case study for all of the above. In this song, Chris transforms a classic 1980s love song into an overly literal monstrosity, in both senses of the word literal. Chris replaces the iconic hook, Take My Breath Away, with a hook that would probably work better as a verse. Feel Our Love at Play is just too literal. Chris also takes out any verse he interprets as negative, replacing them with verses that would either send Berlin's original to the top of the charts. He replaces Waiting Still Anticipating Love with Feeling Our Mutual Feels, which sounds especially out of place with the 80s vibe. He wasn't even trying to parody Berlin or change the meaning significantly. All he did was change enough words to call it his own. In other words, he should have just made an Ivy a mixtape. Chris has written a few true original songs, but the results are riddled with a heavy dose of random access humour. His best example, I Got a Fish, stands out as its catchy but meaningless symbolism. His more recent song, It's Snowing, shifts its tone from soft aggressiveness as he sings, Snowing, 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 it's falling and we're inside at home, with eggs for breakfast to make omelettes with. His original melodies are quite sing-songy and straddle the boundaries between singing and talking. Yeah, I was going to say choreographed talking is the word I would use to describe Chris's singing output, his songwriting output. Needless to say, Chris is never going to rival the likes of Chris de Burgh anytime soon. Singing. And when singing, I can have a Frank Sinatra or Bing Crosby flavour. No, sorry Chris, I couldn't disagree more. It is impossible to overstate how much of a terrible singer Chris is. Oh god, did Simon Cowell write this? It is similarly impossible to overestimate how deluded Chris is about his ability to sing. He's so deluded, in fact, that when trying to confront Liquid via artistic competition, he lost a challenge that he nominated himself. Congratulations, Chris. Despite claiming to have a deep bass voice, Chris's voice is unusually high-pitched and often louder than appropriate. He also tends to speak in an odd, emotionless monotone. These issues with his voice become even more obvious when he tries to sing. In both his Christian and the Hedgehog Boys albums, as well as the only album from Robbie Sonny and the Tom Girls, he doesn't actually sing so much as desperately yell over the track in an attempt to drown out the actual words of a song. As he never bothers to look up karaoke/instrumental only versions of anything he sings. They're very easy to do, but maybe they weren't available to Chris during the time or just weren't at all. Who knows? But then again, there are plenty of karaoke versions to Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles, so Chris doesn't really have an excuse in that specific instance, but there you are. Or why not stick a bit of Belinda Carlisle? I mean, I know, all I'm going to say is, crap. I mean, why doesn't Chris come out with something by, I don't know, ABBA or Fleetwood Mac? This is painfully obvious when he attempts to sing Sonichu Zip, a song that uses the Japanese theme over to the anime Sonic X Sonic Drive. The fast tempo and lyrics of Sonic Drive result in Chris rapidly dissolving into screaming. Oh, please, you know what? I'm gonna just... Is there a video to this? I want to know, because... Oh, there is. Okay, you know what? Okay, let's do it. I want to listen to this. Because, yes, okay, come on, Chris, blow me away.
S-O-N-I-C-H-U! S-O-N-I-C-H-U! Go, 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 let's go! Sharp energy, a bit of power, cold out and free. That's the speed of sound. No zip, no
I know, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what the fuck I'm listening to either. That's hilarious, if you ask me. It's... actually, as funny as that was, I'm almost having like a little bit of an existential crisis myself, because it's been, I think, basically 20 whole years since I first watched Sonic X as well. God help me. 20 whole years. God damn it. But yes, that song, that was literally just... I couldn't understand what the hell the original guys were singing. I couldn't understand what Chris was doing. It was an absolute car wreck of a song. And I'm not talking about the song My Apocalypse by Metallica. A song about an actual car crash. No, this was just... That was dreadful. In fact, actually, you know what? Ironically, I'll use the same comparison I made with My Apocalypse. Is that I describe My Apocalypse as like listening to Picasso. And Chris's attempts at Sonichu Zip is also like listening to Picasso. If Picasso woke up one day, turned around and started beating the hell out of his subjects. God damn it. Anyway. When he does try to actually vary his voice away from the standard monotone, it becomes very obvious that Chris is almost completely tone deaf. His voice fluctuates in pitch with little to no regard to the background music, or even the original artist he's shouting over. Occasionally he's barely managed to carry a tune though. If Chris could sing at all, he never will, his voice type would be at best a spellentia used for comical roles, pushing towards countenanta, a pitch ranging octaves above the bass range he claims to have, and a tessitura note range too high for many women. Or boyfriend-free girls, if Chris would want to put it that way. Chris also has a lot of trouble with tempo and entries. While the song he's written usually managed to match the originals in terms of lyrical rhythms, Chris often pushes ahead or pulls back from the tempo of the song. This is sometimes done deliberately by singers and is called rubato, but in Chris's case it is generally the result of messing up lyrics or having too many or few words for the rhythm, usually the former. And Chris's tenuous sense of pulse means that once he gets thrown off beat, he struggles, usually in vain, to recover. This could probably be avoided if he took the time to practice or revise, but since this entails work/effort/preparation, it is flatly out of the question. Also owing to this non-existent practice ethic is Chris being completely terrible at remembering the actual words to the song he's singing. The only part he tends to know is the chorus of the song, likely because the repetition makes it only part of the song he pays attention to. Between choruses, however, he often forgets the words and improvises lyrics, which invariably consist of mumbled, incoherent nonsense. A cappella. A cappella is a musical technique that entails using nothing but the human voice, and sometimes the body, to produce music. In the official video books, Chris will occasionally break into a cappella renditions of what one can assume is supposed to be Sonichu's theme music. They weren't kidding, by the way, about using a cappella. The song Don't Worry Be Happy, by the way, was also used, was completely a cappella, and he beats his body and his chest together in order to create music, which is also ironically the signal that Prince Andrew uses to his maids whenever he needs jerking off. There you are, there's your obligatory one Prince Andrew joke, and I promise that probably won't be the last either. These bizarre freestyle musical interludes drive home exactly how childish Chris is. There's something uniquely terrifying about a man in his mid-30s who looks like he's 45, I would say 55 if you've seen the recent pictures of Chris now starting to go grey, very, very quickly, showing us his Sonic/Pokemon crossover and shouting "dun dun dun." Chris also occasionally does this in his normal voice videos. He also performed a poor rendition of The Final Countdown by Europe, while showing us that he can still pick up a chair, and equally as awful version of Q Lazarus's Goodbye Horses, while pretending to dig up his dead dog and wear it as a coat. And let's not forget Lovin' You, where he attempts to do it a cappella, but thanks to a sheer lack of practice, simply ends up massacring a mini Ripperton classic by singing it completely out of tune and tempo. Despite his frequent use of a cappella, Chris clearly doesn't understand the full meaning of the word. During the Parappa the Rapper contest, a frequent source of rage from Chris was the music in the background of Adam Stackhouse's video, which Chris vehemently claimed was a violation of the rules against backing tracks. But since this music was simple beatboxing, it would be considered a cappella by most. Oh god, I'm gonna have to censor this part as well, is that my beautiful dark twisted fantasy. Wow, we go from one psycho to another, from Prince Andrew to Kanye West. And I'm gonna have to censor this. Well, and also the one about Chris, yeah, that doesn't... And you know what, again, just for the record right now, is that since I mentioned before that I'd spent 6 years doing music, but I also began this entire year listening to a lot of British rap and British grime and British hip-hop, and I got to know quite a lot of people through Instagram about guys like these, like Zeds or Mars Blanco and Skeeto Lion, Kia Keys, and there's like a lot of other guys I got to know over the last couple of months, which is surprising as well, because soon I want to kick off and do a lot of things about American rappers as well, all the way from Grandmaster Flash all the way to The Very Day. So it's like almost 50 whole years from like, again, Grandmaster Flash, the NWA, Big Daddy Kane, Eminem, Dr. Dre, XXXTentacion, Juice WRLD, the works. You know what I mean? With the popularity of artists like Eminem, Macklemore, Post Malone, and Jedi Mind Tricks, plus the odd continued existence of nerdcore, white guys rapping on YouTube is not unheard of. Some of these individuals demonstrate impressive talent in their abilities to flow on a beat. Chris is, of course, not among them. Of course, his most notable foray into this was his entry to the Parappa the Rapper contest. While his motivations and the drama it caused are covered extensively in that article, the video itself is categorized by a complete lack of rhythm or flow. The result can best be described as sounding like a drunk Muppet being startled every 30 seconds. Chris slurring his words together constantly and periodically yelling for no reason. Before he starts the song in earnest, Chris does a little bit of freestyling in the beginning. You know what? Okay, you know what? Let's just get this out of the way. I want to check this out again anyway, because I know it's... We've done this quite a number of times, but actually we'll check it out towards the end. I'll promise you guys that. I have a PSP and she don't, so give me the PSP, unwrap the wrapper, so I can give her one hand and then we can play together. Chris almost rhyming. This, however, was nothing compared to a later foray into the genre. Playing Aerosmith in the background instead of any other sort of backbeat, Chris basically just shouts a lot of random sentences with no regard as to how they flow or if they even rhyme at all. You just a dang dummy. And you still chicken? You as a dang coward. You want to come fight me? Come fight me in person. Come out from behind the camera, you fool. That's Chris's idea of rapping. You know, I'm gonna tell my kids one day the Parappa contest was the original beef between Drake and yeah. Anyway, sorry, I completely lost focus. In December 2009, Chris would rap once again to Insane Clown Posse's side project Dark Lotus. As usual, he made no attempt to learn the lyrics or appears to be reading them off a piece of paper to unconvincing effort. During a portion of the video, he simply mumbles to himself, as he's wont to do, rocking back and forth and fondling his ample breasts not once, but twice. He also refers to himself as a juffalo, a term apparently used by the Insane Clown Posse Avkionidados to describe the non-committal posers who aren't good enough to fully appreciate the world of clown-related glam rap. That was a lot of words. 2 days prior to this, he made another awful freestyle rap. The point of this is unclear, although he apparently visited a doctor who suggested that he take over-the-counter vitamins. He likens the effects of these vitamins to Viagra, and then compares himself to a tiger rapping to a panther to produce tiger-panther cubs. What on earth are you talking about, Chris? I am completely at a loss of myself. I don't have a clue. And I don't care either. That's the thing. Moving on. Instruments. I would play an axe on the Wii, getting the high scores scored better real play for my benefit. Blanca acting as a proxy for Chris to espouse his flawed beliefs on music. Chris seems to have a very tenuous grasp on what constitutes a musical instrument. Notably, in several videos, Chris tends to treat his Guitar Hero controller like it's a real instrument. This seems outright foolish, even for Chris, until you consider his mindset. Yeah. All of Chris's creations are copies of other things, yet are still somehow completely original. So by playing someone else's song on Guitar Hero, his autistic mindset dictates that he is actually playing the song, no matter if the song is a cover of the original, which necessitates a legitimate instrument on which to play it. As further proof of his madness, Chris equated Liquid's actual musical skill to him playing Guitar Hero, to such a degree that he felt it necessary to outlaw both in the SingStar challenge. I got the idea of the challenge from him copying me playing Boston's More Than a Feeling on Guitar Hero on his old wooden nickel. If he wants to copy on guitar, he may as well be challenged in a sing-off. Chris blowing the minds of guitarists of all talent levels. I know, like, James Hetfield must be looking at this and thinking to himself, No, what are you talking about, Chris? Oh, by the way, is that the frigate? Are those like Donkey Kong bongos? Yes, I think they are. No musical instruments, real Guitar Hero, Rock Band, Rock Revolution, etc. is to be visible in any video. Chris inspiring the hatred of people who like music of all tastes everywhere. Chris has attempted actual guitar playing after Kim Wilson suggested it, but he didn't stick with it. Of course. He demoed a guitar at Best Buy, strumming randomly on the strings. Chris believed his random open string strumming sounded good. He mentioned to Casey he was planning to saving up to buy a genuine axe, and that he was going to start taking lessons. He never ended up buying it, presumably put off by the stress of practice. Chris and his tone deafness. It is telling that not only does Chris lack any sense of pitch in singing, but with melodies in general. This is evidenced in the wedding anniversary special, where he claims to be playing the original theme to Sonic the Hedgehog, but ends up with some wildly unrecognizable tune that only vaguely resembles the Sonic theme rhythmically. Chris sequenced the tune on a fairly simple piano roll, meaning his performance abilities are irrelevant. This proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Chris is actually tone deaf instead of simply lacking in vocal skills. Some think it's a symptom of autism, as subtleties in tone and intonation indicating emotional and social cues are beyond his grasp. which in turn would be affect recognition of pitch changes in music. However, something isn't right. In fact, autistic people are more likely to have perfect pitch than non-autistics, an ability shared with Mozart, Michael Jackson, Mariah Carey, Charlie Puth, and others. So if plenty of other fellow autistics have this otherwise rare musical gift, why did Chris end up with the opposite? The Autism Papers provide a great clue. Chris lost some of his high-frequency hearing in early childhood. This could also explain why Chris seems to mix up different instruments. He was playing his guitar a fail in Holding Out for a Hero, but his phonetic fingerings more closely matched the piano and synth parts of the song, not the long guitar chords. So, Chris was trying to play a song using what? You know what? Let's just say that. Let's just say he did. So we can move on faster. Recording methods and equipment. Chris's idea of accompaniment is putting the original song playing on the background using his PS3 and then the -$1,000 Sony LCD HD TV and the most expensive speakers his tugboat could tug in while he sings with his unique voice. The singing, of course, is dutifully recorded with either the long-suffering PSI camera or a cheap desktop mic. The implications are staggering. There's always a huge quality loss when music is played on speaker and then re-recorded from a distance. Even with high-fidelity equipment, the acoustics of the room distorts the sound and the air itself blocks low and high frequencies, leaving you with only a muffled fraction of the original sound. Chris, of course, believes that everything he does is perfect on the first try and never has to be redone, just like his art. Professionals generally only record speakers when they belong to guitar amps, since tasteful distortion is often desirable in rock. The original lyrics are almost always still on the song, at least on one occasion. Chris even screwed up by harder than this. He got a cover of Never Gonna Give You Up from Family Guy, clobbered by dialogue and other sounds, while lyrics often can't always be removed from a mixed song entirely if it's at least worth a shot trying lyrics removal software. Or it might pay to look for an instrumental version or cover, or the song's stem files. Even an MIDI version is still preferable, and it would probably hold up better copyright-wise. When you have one go and one microphone to record everything, there's no way to correct the errors if you flub anything. The result is obviously perfect. Oh, who are we kidding? Chris takes no care when it comes to mic placement, which can often make or break a recording, even with microphones much more expensive than Chris's. Chris is, of course, unaware of the incredible leaps and bounds that music recording has advanced in recent years, and hasn't noticed that there are plenty of good multi-track sound editors available for free, many of which come with lyrics removal plugins. Chris also demands that this sort of weird, screwy setup from others, one might assume, for example, than the brown striped one, with actual musical talent, would have more technical know-how on how to record music properly. But the SingStar challenge was done on Chris's strange terms. Recording in one take with one microphone was obsolete as soon as phonographs became electric. Business. And again, I have to cover this up because this is the negative cover, the noise group's cover. On the 2nd of February 2015, Chris revealed that he drew the artwork of the album Negative by L'Eclipse New. L'Eclipse New is an obscure harsh noise act, whose music largely consists of ear-piercing screeches and low rumbling sounds, quite inaccessible for our Britney Spears-loving hero. Chris gave a brief review of the album, claiming it reminded him of Pinkie Pie playing a phoneme, and stating that he could sense the emotions and depressions expressed behind the music. Which means that Chris probably hasn't listened to the album. I've never listened to it myself, but if it's anything that what they're depicting as, I'm imagining it's what it is. The cover booklet in the special edition physical release of the album reveals that the entire album was focused around the cruddy picture Chris had drawn for them, along with a description of the piece. I have seen into the torment of the deceased woman. She may have had a life's career if posing nude for art, as well as offering herself to the numerous artists, take from that what you will, and how she haunts the number of artists and photographers who did really wrong her in life. Dan states in the book that the sounds herein were created in order to illustrate that story. This album is a soundtrack to Christian's art. Interesting. Therein, this whole album and every sound of it is inspired entirely by Chris's art, and how it is basically, you know, piercing to the eyes. In February 2018, Chris was approached by the music group Boy Spicy to do a feature for their album The Never-Ending Journey to Boytown, USA. Instead of doing something original like they requested, he decided to use his trademark laziness and make them record Love Is Love to further stroke his ego. He drew a cover for Love Is Love, which is what this is, by the way, intending it to be released as a single. Boy Spicy removed the song from their Bandcamp page following the incest fallout. Probably for the best. On the 19th of July 2019, the release of Trap Ton Neon Volume 1 by Easy K Beats marks the third time Chris became the artist of an album cover. Chris simply redrew the cover art from the Internet Dreamland, of which Easy K Beats was the co-host, drawing himself into the scene in a show of his ego. On the 21st of August 2019, saw the fourth time Chris has been commissioned for an album cover for the release of Cone Attacks by MC Cone. However, being the lazy artist that he is, the cover art and in turn the album was delayed until the 5th of September 2019, after many complaints from the commissioner. In addition, many of Chris's fans request him to sing in paid video requests. All of them are basically the same, and they're not particularly worth it. Is this even any good, by the way, Cone Attacks? I have no idea, but we'll find out. Musical fetish. Chris doesn't just love music, he's even turned on by the very concept of it. In February 2017, although he's made passing mentions of it before, Chris stated on Facebook he gets aroused when listening to music. Any music, not just certain songs. This includes music featured on Sailor Moon. As always, make of that what you will. Finally, being aroused by music is not unique to Chris. Otherwise, love songs such as Tonight I Celebrate My Love or Always would have not done well in the charts, and pop singers like Madonna wouldn't insert innuendos into their hits. With that being said, most people aren't turned on by the very concept of music as a whole. It is possible that Chris, given his confusion regarding sex as a whole, may be conflating this arousal with the phenomenon of frisson, a pleasant feeling that listeners experience when listening to music, often observed when listening to certain styles of music, or features of a given piece. This sensation is variously described as tingling or chills. However, he could genuinely experience aurism, a sound fetish. You know, actually, interestingly enough, I've got like a few things I would say about that, about aurism, is that I may have experienced this sort of thing maybe once. Okay, so the story goes is that back in 2018, I listened to the song Erotomania by Dream Theater, and I listened to that whilst having my eyes, I think I was like wearing a blindfold or something like that, just because Dream Theater do a lot of prog rock, and a lot of their stuff is, well, I think on the album I can't remember what album it was. It was released in '92, but a lot of the songs on that album were very much inspired by the notion of dreams and of out-of-body experiences. So, and Erotomania is about like 10 minutes, but it is glorious, and it's probably even better when you're just lying on your back, utterly just by yourself and able to relax. It's absolute dynamite to listen to just things that put you in a very, because it takes you on a journey, if that makes sense. And well, that is technically really the end of everything. I suppose we could take a look at the other videos like later, but as promised, well, Chris's attempts at rap is always a fan favorite that I love to watch because it's just fascinating in every sense of the word. So Here it is for like the 4th time in as many weeks.
AP Station. My name is Christian Chandler. I live in Bucksville, Virginia. I have a PSP. I like to rap. I play with the rapper. I go with you now. The only song I know is Master Onion, which I got from a demo I borrowed from my friend Megan. I have the PSP and she don't. So give me the PSP. I rap the rapper so I can give one to her. And we can play it together. So here we go. We're gonna sing it now. Master Onion a la mode. Kick, punch, it's all in the mind. If you want to test me, I'm sure you'll find that you all things that I teach you sure to beat ya. Over the rest of that you dare listen to the teacher now. Kick, kick, punch, punch, chop, chop, block, block. Once more, kick, kick, punch, punch, chop, chop, and block, block. So get cocky, it's gotta get lucky. We gotta move down to the sea jockey now. Duck, duck, yup, yup. Turn, turn, and pose, pose. Now listen carefully. Jump, jump, pose, pose. Duck, duck, and turn, turn. Yeah, I see you getting better. Kick it to the limit in order to get the turn now. Kick, punch, kick, punch. Chop, block, chop, block. Chop, kick, chop, kick. Punch, block, punch, block. I'm gonna get harder now. Duck and jump, duck and jump. Turn and pose, turn and pose. Duck and turn, duck and turn. We're gonna jump and pose, jump, pose. Come on now, why don't you follow my word? Because it's almost done, it'll make things worse. I want to see if you want what it means. To be on top with the master plan. Are you man now? Here we go now, kick, punch, block. Kick, punch, block. Chop, kick, block. Chop, kick, block. Block, turn, kick it. Block, turn, kick it. Block, duck, punch. Block, duck, punch. Duck, duck, turn. Duck, duck, turn. Jump, kick, block. Jump, kick, chop. And punch, punch, punch. Punch, punch, punch. That's it for today. Good job, Rapper. You can go to the next stage now. Yahoo! All right, Rapper. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. All right, thank you, teacher. Again, what? Man, you are so good. I got a dead loose memory.
Yeah, now I'm not. Now after seeing that, I'm not entirely completely unconvinced that Sony knew this was a bad idea. Like they were like giving it to Chris a little bit with this.
Money for students like you. You want to try a super beginner's course? You're picking on me too fast. I'm out of here. It's our hero on PlayStation 3. Don't press the PS button after select things, see? Make sure you hook it up with the converter controller. Do rock on, yo. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Rap, rap, rap. That's a rap.
Yeah, that's a rap, alright. And, well, what else can I say, ladies and gentlemen? The fact that you can't understand what Chris is saying, the stupid effects, the fact that Chris has to, like, squint down just to see what's going on, and, well, yeah, the fact that Chris even came as close to winning as he did is something, but there you are. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, and I cannot wait to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye for now.